11 Alive News at 11 p.m. starts now.
First at 11.
It was calm and then just boom. Never seen nothing like it.
Powerful storms roll into metro Atlanta,
So again, the tornado warning continues.
causing widespread damage.
That tree just snapped like a toothpick.
And as always, 11 Alive made sure you were weather aware.
I was showing you the forecast track that showed the thin line of storms moving through. That's what we've been dealing with.
Tonight, the storms roll out and the cleanup begins.
For much of the afternoon and into this evening, many across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia hunkered down to ride it all out.
Absolutely, and many of those images you saw at the top of the broadcast, a few are from our storm trackers.
We have team coverage for you this evening. In a moment, we'll bring in our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb, who will tell us about what we can expect for the weekend. We'll also get a report from Bobeth Yates with damage out of Floyd County. But let's begin this evening with Cody Alcorn with more on how the storm impacted folks up in Cobb County. Cody?
In just a few hours, crews will be out here to get this tree off of this home. We are in the Chimney Springs neighborhood here in Marietta, and you can see the damage from this storm. This is exactly why when Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb and our team of meteorologists put out these severe thunderstorm warnings, you want to get to the bottom floor of your home, even if it's not a tornado, because look at this. If this family would have been on that second floor, this could have been deadly. This is about a 100-foot tree that fell from the neighbor's yard onto this two-story home here in Cobb County. This was that storm that Chris and them warned on around 5:30. It swept through Cobb County. This is the kind of damage we are seeing throughout the area. We do know trees came down on a couple of cars, and again, trees just down in different sections of the county. But this, the most significant structure damage we saw here in Cobb County this evening. The good news is this family's okay. They're not staying here, obviously, and it's going to take quite some time to get this home repaired. The entire side of this home damaged. I talked to a crew that was out here. They said it's going to cost about $5,000 to get this tree up. But again, that money a little bit better than what could have happened here if those people would have been on that second floor. But again, just another warning why it is always important to take those severe thunderstorm warnings seriously and get to the bottom floor of your home.
Absolutely. Good advice there, Cody. Thank you. And you know, that line of storms cut right through North Georgia late this afternoon. This is from one of our storm trackers as well. This is Julie showing us this large tree uprooted in Calhoun, and the damage from the storm system stretched all the way into Floyd County. Here's 11 Alive's Bobeth Yates with that part of the story from our Thunder Truck.
That's right, the storms quickly moved through Rome, but not without leaving behind a path of destruction.
All of a sudden it gets real dark and it starts raining and we start scrambling.
Cole Temples was among those in the parking lot of the Advent Health Hospital when the storms came rolling through.
It was loud and quick. Immediately it was calm and then just boom, like it hit you, and we were scrambling because one of the nurses got stuck in the door over there. So we were trying to get her out and get inside because it was fast. Like I'd never seen nothing like it.
A tree fell on Temple's car, and the wind also blew out a window of the hospital.
Of course, it's surprising when a window blows out, but again, we have safety protocols in place, and everybody just followed those protocols and kept patients safe, and that's the most important thing.
But the hospital wasn't the only area impacted by the storm. I went rolling through Rome in the 11 Alive Thunder Truck, surveying more damage. We found a tree blocking the road of John Davenport Drive, and crews working quickly to clear it. On Short Avenue, a tree fell on a home and took out the power line, leaving dozens without power. The strong winds also took out multiple streetlights. Some were even being powered by generators as Georgia Power worked to restore service to the area. In total, Floyd County emergency officials say they had more than 25 different incidents of damage caused by the storm.
And take a look at this. Our camera out at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport looked to be bouncing around rather violently earlier this evening. Just before 5 this evening, all the planes were grounded there due, of course, to the weather. But once the storms passed through, Flights were back up in the skies a little more than 90 minutes later. And now that the storms have quieted down, cooler air is on the way, moving in our direction. Our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb, joining us now. Chris, what do folks need to know now that we've got that behind us?
Well, we still have a little bit of a breeze out there, but it's a northwest wind that's bringing us some of that cooler air, not as windy as it was earlier. Even outside of the line of storms that moved through, we had some really strong winds ahead of this line and behind the line, and of course along with those storms too. Peak wind gust in Atlanta today, 49 miles an hour. We have a lot of that wind damage around. All of this rain has pushed well down to the south and east of us right now. This is how it looked passing through the Atlanta area. It moved through right inside the perimeter. This was right around 5 o'clock this afternoon and then pushing away from us, now clearing out. Now those storms are really falling apart as they continue down to the south and east, but this is what is left behind. Every one of these symbols here indicates where we have reports of some wind damage, whether it's trees down, power lines down, or limbs down in some spots, so a widespread coverage of that damage. The National Weather Service is going to assess tomorrow. They're getting a lot of these storm reports in. They'll assess any concentrated areas that they may need to go survey. They'll come out with that schedule a little bit later to determine if any of this damage was actually caused by tornadoes. We'll talk about the cooler air moving in for the weekend in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, we'll see you then. And now that things have calmed down, we are seeing the calm, if you will, after the storm. This image is from our storm tracker, Robert, showing the golden sunset across downtown Atlanta. A beautiful image there. Our storm tracker, Roz, capturing a nice partial rainbow tonight. This photo coming in from Alpharetta. And this was certainly a day that you wanted to make sure that you had that 11 Alive News app ready to go. So if you don't have it, all you have to do is scan that QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you to the App Store so you can download it for free. And then once you've downloaded it, don't forget to turn on the weather alert so you can get specific information for your neighborhood.
We have some breaking news right now. Just a few hours ago, Georgia head football coach Kirby Smart making his first public comments on the Bulldogs' turbulent and tragic offseason. 11 Alive's Reggie Chapman joins us in the studio with the coach's response. Reggie.
Yeah, it's been a difficult offseason for the Georgia football program. The head coach Kirby Smart off the field since celebrating back-to-back national championships in Athens on January 14th in Sanford Stadium. This team all over the headlines as multiple players were arrested for speeding. Former quarterback Stetson Bennett was also arrested for public intoxication. And of course, the fatal car crash took the lives of both offensive lineman Devin Willock and staffer Chandler LaCroix. In an exclusive interview with ESPN, Coach Smart was asked a variety of questions, including if his program has a culture problem.
Absolutely not. And I would say we're far from it. Do we have perfect young men and women and players? Not necessarily, but I promise you this, that's the intent for us to grow these guys and get them better and feel really good about the culture within our program.
Kirby Smart also mentioned in the interview the steps they took over the summer to inform their players about the dangers of street racing. I have more from Kirby Smart coming up a little bit later in sports.
All right, Reggie, we'll see you then. Just hours ago, we learned that Miles Bryant, a now former Doraville police officer, is facing charges in another criminal case. 11 Alive obtained a warrant from a case in 2019. It alleges that Bryant entered a home unannounced in Snellville by climbing through a bedroom window. The warrant says Bryant then walked around the home before climbing back out that same window. He's now charged with first-degree felony burglary in the case. Now, Bryant is already charged in the death of 16-year-old Susana Morales. Family members reported her missing last July, and her body was found February 6th near the Gwinnett-Barrow County line. Right now, we are getting our first look at the suspect in a homicide last weekend. Atlanta police sent out this image tonight saying that this is the person who they believe is behind what they call a targeted attack from Sunday along Deering Road. As you can see, it's a pretty clear image of the suspect there. The shooting happened at the Atlantic Loring Heights apartment complex. And when police arrived, they found the victim, 35-year-old Tasham Singh, with several gunshot wounds. He died at Grady Hospital. If you know anything about this suspect or any information that can help in this case, you're asked to please contact police. Atlanta police say they are ready for a planned week of action that's expected to begin tomorrow against a planned public safety training site in DeKalb County. We're told activists from across the country are planning to come to Metro Atlanta to protest. The complex has been the epicenter of several clashes since it was approved by the city council in 2021. The Atlanta Police Department says it's prepared for anything this weekend. A statement to 11 Alive says in part, we stand ready to respond to demonstrations to ensure the safety of those in our communities and those exercising their First Amendment right or to address illegal activity.
Still ahead tonight, one Metro Atlanta veteran is on a 8,500-mile trek that's been 50 years in the making. It's a story you'll only see on 11 Alive.
Abuse and neglect going unpunished. 11 Alive has uncovered many animal abuse cases where no one is brought to justice. The fight to hold suspects accountable, just ahead. Tonight, 11 Alive has learned there is now a trial date for a man accused of abusing hundreds of dogs. The case has dragged on now for more than 4 years, frustrating animal advocates. But as 11 Alive investigator Rebecca Lindstrom discovered, Reason Craig Gray is just one of several dog breeders waiting for trial.
He was a mess, is really the best way to put it.
Ron Gully remembers the first time he saw this photo. Fur matted, covered in urine and poop that had fallen from above by the dogs trapped in their own cages.
He just shook. He'd just stand there and shake. He was afraid to move. He was afraid of us, was afraid of everything.
Waddy is just one of 700 dogs rescued from Reason Craig Gray, a then licensed South Georgia dog breeder that now faces charges for animal cruelty. But that was 2019. He has yet to stand trial. The same goes for Angela Powell, another breeder arrested that same year. She faces 60 counts of animal cruelty across 2 counties after investigators found filthy German Shepherds and dog bones.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Advocates have long felt the enforcement of Georgia's laws lacked teeth. 11 Alive Investigates found court records for 18 large dog seizures in the past 5 years. Only half were charged with abuse and neglect. 4 cases were closed with plea deals that gave long probation sentences, but no jail time. And none have gone to trial. Jessica Rock, the state prosecutor for animal crimes, says COVID played a role.
We are having to triage cases in a certain way that we didn't have to before.
Gray is actually behind bars, but only because he violated the conditions of his bond. His trial date has been postponed several times. Last year, lawmakers created a state prosecutor focused on animal welfare.
I think it speaks volumes of how far we've come in this state.
Rock says first, she's focused on training police, animal control, and prosecutors. In the short term, more enforcement will mean more busts, creating another concern already being raised in emails to us and on social media.
Everybody's full. The shelters are full. The rescue groups are full. The rescue's fosters are full. So we are living in a kind of a state of crisis.
Gully has never visited the property in person where Waddy was rescued. The pictures are bad enough. Waddy still has skin problems. He never moves his tail.
And I think it's partly because it was so matted to his body, he just never used it.
His paws are stretched from years standing on wire. It may be why he still doesn't care much for grass.
He just likes to be, I would say he likes to be around us because he knows it's safe.
But after safety, animal advocates say should come accountability. Rock wants that too.
And I think that we're starting to slowly send that message. I'm just not going to stop. We're done.
Prosecutors would not disclose the details of their plea offer to Gray, but if he refuses, we're told his trial is set for March 20th. Both Gray and Powell have pleaded not guilty. Right now on this Friday night in Atlanta, it is already Saturday morning halfway around the world in Hanoi, Vietnam. It's a place where a retired Air Force pilot from Marietta who fought long ago in the Vietnam War returned this week. He went back on a personal mission. He spent nearly 6 years there as a prisoner of war.
This is an incredible story. So he returned to honor the day exactly 50 years ago when he was released to freedom. And he spoke with our very own John Sherrick about that day that began his second chance at life.
At his home in Marietta, retired Air Force Colonel Wayne Waddell is at peace.
Remembering what happened 50 years ago.
Memories of the nearly 6 years he was prisoner of war in North Vietnam, along with hundreds of other Americans. Wayne Waddell had been shot down in 1967 while bombing a military railroad target. He and his fellow prisoners tortured. They refused to capitulate. And in 1973, when the U.S. and North Vietnam agreed to end the war, nearly 600 U.S. prisoners walked free, heads held high. Wayne Waddell lining up at the airport in Hanoi, hearing his name called. His first moments of freedom, March 4th, 1973.
And I looked out, and there's this big, shiny C-141 over there to the right, United States of America, and the flag.
As if home was reaching out to bring him home.
When I got to the airplane and I started up the ramp, it dawned on me, this airplane was built in Marietta, Georgia. I used to work there. I know people that worked on it. And I say not too flippantly that I could smell the red clay of North Georgia, and I knew I was headed home. And it was just a feeling of release starting then. That culminated when the aircraft commander called and said, "We are out of Vietnamese airspace." I think the airplane went up about 10 feet as everybody jumped.
There were welcome home celebrations. First at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines, Waddell would later receive 2 Silver Stars among his commendations for gallantry in action. He came home to a changed world.
I got some of the sad news.
He found out his wife had divorced him, his father had died, and he and his 2 young children would need a long time to reconnect. He remarried, continued in active service, retiring in 1987.
And here's dear old room number 8.
And in 1994, Waddell invited his children to go with him to Hanoi, showing them what it was like in the prisons and seeking reconciliation with his captors.
I'm looking forward to it.
Now 87 years old, Wayne Waddell knew he had to return to Hanoi in gratitude for his life after the war that for him began on March 4th, 1973. He and a former cellmate, Ed Hubbard from Florida, revisited Wallow Prison, the infamous Hanoi Hilton, now a tourist attraction. Wayne Waddell's mission now, a final salute.
To all of the men who were not able to leave with us.
Hoping, he says, he's made these 50 years and counting count for them. For his family, his nation, 50 years after his second chance at life began, Wayne Waddell is at peace. In Marietta, John Schierick, 11 Alive News.
Wow, what an awesome story, and we salute Wayne and all the veterans out there. All right, let's get back to the weather. So we saw some of those storms earlier. They pushed out. We have clearer skies tonight, but I guess it's going to get a little cooler tonight, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's that northwest flow behind that rain and that line of storms that moved in that's going to help bring in some of that cooler air. It's not going to be cold or frigid or anything. We're just going to see temperatures by tomorrow morning in the upper 40s to around 50 degrees in a lot of spots. We were tracking that line of storms that moved through earlier. We had winds ahead of this line that were very strong, during the line of storms that were very strong with the winds there. And then behind it, things are starting to calm down a little bit more. This is a 12-hour loop that takes us back to around lunchtime today. And then we started tracking those storms from northwest Georgia, where they were stronger. Numerous reports of damage there. Through the metro Atlanta area, scattered reports of damage here with trees down and some power outages earlier. Now, all of that is well down to the south and east, and it is a lot quieter. It's a nice night out there right now as we're looking live at the King and Queen building from our vantage point there at Northside Hospital at 285 and Georgia 400. And with those clearing skies tonight, that will help those cooler temperatures to move into our area. The airport had a ground stop earlier today due to the heavy rain that moved through and those strong winds in association with this system pushing through. Now, we're not reporting any delays at Hartsfield-Jackson. They had about an hour and a half delays there for a while because of the backup from the ground stop, but now they've caught up on a lot of that stuff. But if you're headed to the airport, call ahead just to make sure your individual flight is still going to be on time. Temperatures have been cooling. We're in the lower 60s right now. We have some 50s in North Georgia. We'll see those 50s coming into our area after midnight, moving down to the low 50s, even upper 40s early in the morning. But we will start off the day with sunshine. Temperatures slow lower to warm tomorrow, getting up to around 68 in the afternoon. That's still above average for this time of year by about 5 degrees, but it's a lot lower than those temperatures that we have been dealing with. So there's the last bit of that rain getting out of here. Northwest flow now bringing in that cooler air. We're going to have a nice day tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine around. Temperatures, though, not as warm as they have been. And then Sunday morning, starting off in the mid-40s, another cool start. Then warming into the 70s in the afternoon on Sunday. And because of that, we're going to go with an 11 on the wazometer here. Mostly sunny skies on Sunday. Monday, a few more clouds, bringing the wazometer to a 10, but warming to 76. Then rain chances coming back, but they're lower rain chances. 20 to 30% chance for showers Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Notice those temperatures cooling down by the end of the week. Lower 60s Thursday, highs near 59 on Friday.
Hawks back in action on Friday, looking for a win over the Blazers and red-hot Damian Lillard. I've got those highlights and much more coming up after the commercial break. Welcome back, everybody. Head coach Kirby Smart talked for the first time since a tragic night following Georgia's national championship celebration, where he addressed plenty, including the racing that multiple players on his team have been pulled over for and arrested over the last couple of weeks. Smart telling ESPN in an exclusive interview it's something that they've tried to address.
You only know what you find out about. We had a situation this summer that we would bring in Athens-Clarke County Police and UGA Police. Local news in Atlanta was covering street racing and drag racing, and it's all over the TV. We wanted to educate our players. So we had a team meeting, and we constantly remind our guys about it. The person behind the wheel is the one that makes the decision what they do with the car.
All right, switching gears, Hawks versus Blazers, looking for their first win of the Quinn Snyder era. DeJounte Murray did his part. He was balling. He finished with 41 points in the win as the Hawks get a win. 129-111 was the final at State Farm Arena. All right, how about game one of the overtime elite final? City Reapers versus the YNG Dreamers at OT Arena in Atlantic Station. Twin brothers Amen and Asar Thompson are going to be lottery picks in the next NBA draft. They combined for 33 points in a game one win. 81-77 was the final. Finally, before we go, some bad news for Dawsonville product and NASCAR driver Chase Elliott, who injured his left leg in a snowboarding accident on Friday and was scheduled for surgery this evening. He will miss this weekend's race at Las Vegas. That's it for sports. Thanks for watching, everybody. More news after this commercial break.
And don't go anywhere. We have a check of your forecast when we return.
What a day we have had out there today. Thankfully, it is going to be a lot quieter for the weekend, and temperatures are going to be cooler. We start off in the morning into the upper 40s and lower 50s. We do get up into the upper 60s tomorrow. Now, I know that sounds cool compared to the 80s and 70s that we've been dealing with this week, but still, that's a little bit above where we should be for this time of year. But it'll be a little more refreshing here during the day, and with that sunshine, it's going to be feeling really nice. We start warming up on Sunday, a high of 71. We're going to go with an 11 on the wazometer Sunday. A few more clouds Monday up to 76, and then low rain chances as we head toward the middle and also the end of the week, with cooler air coming in once we get toward the end of next week. Next Friday, high maybe only about 59 degrees.
Man, but the weekend looks fantastic.
It sure does. Thank you. We deserve it after today. Thanks so much for being with us for 11 Alive News at 11. We hope you have a fantastic Friday and an amazing weekend. Great night.